Our island is pretty small, so it's common to know what's happening in the community, but I preferred to mind my own business. King worked night shifts, and Nina, also a stay-at-home wife, would often interact with Charlotte. King used to say my wife was like the mother he never had, and she grew to love him like her own son. However, she was never fond of Nina. Charlotte would often comment that something seemed off about her. I didn't pay much attention and only interacted with King occasionally, nothing substantial. Months went by, and the construction on the house was finally completed. They did a beautiful job. However, Charlotte kept commenting that one of the contractors was still coming by the house, but only at night, when King had left for work. I told her it wasn't our business, nor hers, to worry about. About a month later, she brought it up again, asking if she should tell King. I told her no, and we got into a huge argument about it. She even called our kids, and they told her the same thing, leave them alone. My daughter, in particular, urged her to stay out of it. The next morning, before I left for work, I specifically told Charlotte not to do anything stupid. But what did she do? Something incredibly stupid. As humans, we observe things subconsciously, and it's only when you piece them together that you realize just how much you've noticed. I came home from work, and as usual, King's car was gone, meaning he was at work. Later that night, I took the trash out and noticed King's vehicle was back, but this time, it was parked behind George's vehicle. I also heard muffled noises, but they weren't loud because our homes have hurricane impact-resistant windows, making it hard to hear anything from outside or inside. I went back inside and jokingly said to my wife, guess he must have found out. She looked at me and said, maybe so. The next morning, neither Nina nor King came out to greet my wife as usual, and George's car was still in the driveway, blocked in by King's car. That night, it was the same situation, King's car hadn't moved, and George's car remained blocked. The following morning, Charlotte told me she was going to check on King and Nina. I said okay and left for work. True to her nosy nature, my wife knocked on their door but didn't get a reply. She then walked around to the backyard and knocked on the sliding door but still got no response. Charlotte called me, asking if she should request a welfare check. I told her no. A few hours later, she called again, insisting that something didn't feel right. I asked her why she cared so much, and that's when she admitted that she had texted King 2 nights earlier while he was at work, saying, I thought construction was done at your home. Why is the contractor back at night? It felt like a train hit me. I immediately realized that everything I had observed over the last few days and nights was starting to make sense. All I could say to my wife was, call the police. I rushed home, even though I worked 15 minutes away, and I swear I made it back in 3. The police arrived and taped off the entire street. Nina and George had been decapitated. King came out of the house shouting, I'm alive, Nina. It broke my heart. According to the news reports and King's interrogation, he had come home and caught Nina and George making love. He snapped and did horrendous things to them. He slept next to Nina's torso for 2 nights. My son, who works crime scenes and was assigned to this case, said that parts of their bodies were scattered throughout the house. The crime scene photos were leaked, no one knows by whom, but they were horrific. King had written cheaters must die on the wall, cheater 1 on George's stomach, and cheater 2 on Nina's, using markers. My wife caused all of this. The timestamp on our security camera showed King had arrived home at 8:07 p.m., about 11 minutes after my wife sent him that text. I shouted things at my wife that I regret to this day. When I saw the body bags, I pointed at them and yelled, you see what you caused? You are the reason this happened. I hate myself for doing that. My wife fell into a deep depression afterward. She stopped eating, sleeping, talking, or even bathing. She sat in a catatonic state. 8 days later, she passed away from a heart attack. I live with the guilt of blaming her. The truth is, her actions led to the deaths of 3 people, including herself. George and Nina's families made threats against my wife, me, and my kids. They blamed us. Some of the neighbors were even glad to hear of her passing. Mentally, I'd struggled with the aftermath. I couldn't go to work, it was too hard. I've been in therapy for a while now, and part of my assignment is to write down my thoughts and feelings. Only my kids and therapist know the full extent of this story. Thanks for letting me vent. Bye for now. Note, because this case is on Google with leaked images of the crime scene, and to protect the little bit of privacy and sanity my family still has, I've changed the names of all parties involved and avoided mentioning dates.